Let's talk about Spriggan, the latest Netflix adaptation of the hugely successful graphic novel series. This manga powerhouse originally ran between 1989 and 96, with a film based on the comics being released in 1998. Now we have 6 episodes that reignite the Spriggan flame, but to what end? That's what I'm going to discuss now, bringing up key plot details, which means there will be spoilers ahead, so you have been warned. On the UTG channel, I'm still quite a novice to manga-style anime. I've previously covered Bubble and Vampire in the Garden, and outside of those, I've seen very little anime in my lifetime. When it comes to Spriggan, I'm also blissfully unaware of the source material's content. That means for this honest review, I'm taking this season on face value, and from that front, from a general viewer's perspective, Spriggan is far from perfect. If you feel like you can enlighten me on any points I cover, please feel free to in the comments. Even being relatively new to the anime style of storytelling, I feel like an awful lot of narrative techniques involve jumping into the story in media res. This means that you hop into the show as if you already have all the context you need, and it doesn't set aside too much time to contextualize things. The first episode here definitely made me feel a little lost off trying to piece together who everybody was, what their purpose was, and what the overall theme of the show is. Thankfully, we get a nice and straightforward opening narrative that explains the general gist. There was an ancient civilization that were enormously advanced technologically, but became so advanced they ended up getting wiped out. A tablet containing the message "Protect our heritage from the wicked" is found, and a special organization named ARCAM is established. The purpose of ARCAM is to locate, salvage, and secure ancient pieces of technology that, should they fall into the wrong hands, could lead to chaos and destruction. ARCAM employs super soldiers named Spriggans to handle the legwork, and our main Spriggan in the show is a student named Omenaye. Each episode of this season follows a different artifact, a different scenario, and a different villain. Now, as a premise, that is money. I'm well on board with that conceptually, but the way it's executed for me wasn't particularly strong. I feel like the series didn't flow very naturally. It was as if I watched the episodes out of order by accident when I hadn't. Each episode feels like its own 45-minute self-contained short film, whereby every single episode has to do a brand new setup and a bit of context. Now, I'm not necessarily against the application of this structure, as I'm a huge fan of anthology series, and hell, Doctor Who has to recontextualize every single episode, though here with Spriggan, it felt like I really had to focus to work out what each episode's goal was. Each episode also feels completely different too, which I do really like actually. It makes them all stand out as unique experiences, but simultaneously it means that the tone doesn't half shift around. For example, you have episodes like Flame Serpent, where the enemies are highly trained US soldiers with super tech, so pretty much a bulked up action episode. Next episode, and the villain there has psychokinetic abilities, so now we start to stray in a different direction towards superpowers. And then the episode after that, we're in a cursed forest with ghouls and evil spirits as the villains. At times it feels like these 6 episodes are from 6 different shows, with the only things connecting them being the artifacts and Omenaye. For me personally, this show needed to find a middle ground between making each episode unique, but also connecting more narrative dots so that it felt like it was all from the same series. That's just my thoughts off one watch through though. I'm certain that on several rewatches I would likely feel different, and there are probably some narrative threads I missed from how heavy the show can be at times. Spriggan just suddenly throws full brand new sets of characters your way when you've barely had a chance to properly know the ones you've already seen. There's also a few standout moments I think are ever so slightly off, like the fact Omenaye always bangs on about his armoured muscle suit. The Spriggans are like the best Guardian soldiers ever, move at lightning speed with a knife and pistol, quick and clean with super advanced armour, but then their heads are pretty much entirely exposed. I don't even care if that's just being nitpicky for the sake of it. If you were that advanced and ancient an organisation, you'd have a helmet. Just saying. But then there's an episode where Omenaye salvages a powerful crystal skull from the Nazis, sadly no Shia LaBeouf this time round, and where does he decide to securely hide the crystal skull from falling into the wrong hands? He hangs it on his backpack. Wow, nobody will be able to see that. Come on mate, surely that's got to be against the policies and procedures. But don't worry Spriggan fans, despite my points so far, there is still a lot I do like about the show. The theme song, for example, is kick-ass. Combining it with the overall aesthetic of the show, I get definite Metal Gear Solid vibes, with Spriggan himself reminding me of Raiden in Guns of the Patriots. The animation is really solid here as well. I particularly loved the Cursed Forest episode, with all the ghouls being unleashed to stop our heroes from acquiring the elixir of life. But also a standout one for me was the Berserker in episode 4. The animation style here is as if the Berserker is a physical model being stop frame animated, while digitized animation is added in around it. I'm not certain how they pulled this one off here, but the texture and movement of the Berserker is completely different to the rest of the art style. It was fabulous to look at how the Berserker functioned. The action all round is brilliant here, and the highlight for the series for me. It's well drawn, a lot of gory violence where bodies become meaty and malleable, similar to the gore levels of Invincible. I also love a couple of the weapons here, particularly Little Boy's weapon, which is like this arm cannon that shoots out multiple razor wires that he uses to slice through people and objects. It just looked sick. I'm also a big fan of the show's mythos, such as having Noah's Ark as a real thing, but being an ancient piece of tech, as opposed to how it's described in the Bible as just a boat. It would have been cool if they ran with these ideas more, that the ancient relics or myths are ones from the real world, but are actually related to the ancient civilization's tech. I love that idea, and there's definite scope to explore that more in future seasons should we receive them. Imagine a great pyramid-themed episode, or Stonehenge. Somehow all the great wonders of the world are linked to this ancient civilization in some way. That'd be really cool. Also, I do quite enjoy seeing Ominaye at school as well, with the Spriggan role being his responsibility on the side, and at times having clashes between his real life and his Spriggan life. It's very Peter Parker Spider-Man that would have been very nice to sink a few more teeth into. All in all, I came away from Spriggan enjoying some elements, but feeling like a lot could have been improved. It certainly doesn't have a narrative structure where you can switch your mind off and enjoy it naturally. It will have to be viewed several times to be fully aware of every moving part. Fantastic animation and action, though some definite tweaks could have been made to the overall presentation of the story elements so that each episode flowed into the next a bit more smoothly. It dumps an awful lot on you across these 6 episodes, and at times it can feel like you're being dragged past characters and subplots that you haven't properly stuck to yet before moving on to the next pile. Experienced anime fans will likely pick this one up and relish it, but for newcomers to this kind of programming, you're gonna have to work a little harder to indulge. So that wraps up my honest review of Season 1 of Netflix's Spriggan. Once again, please be aware I'm still finding my feet in shows like this, so if you have any recommendations for me to watch that can help me adjust into anime more smoothly, then please do let me know. I'm Connor from Unleash the Ghouls, and cheers for checking this video out. A cheeky sub would be much appreciated if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers out!